Then moving forward towards inheritance tax, if there is an individual, there is a family who has inherited a wealth, or it's also concerned with the lifetime of the deceased person, like who is no more in this world now, but whatever wealth he has collected in his entire life will also be discussed over here in greater detail. So these are the areas of the syllabus that are tested. These are all connected with each other. Like, can you see these arrows? So this is actually the relation of all the topics. Then we have corporation tax liabilities, and it is concerned with the companies. So income tax, NIC, section B, C, D, these are concerned with the individuals, and this one is for the companies. There are some similarities, there are a lot of differences over here as well. So when we will go deep down into every topic, then you're going to understand the dynamics, and then you can see section number B, C, and E. This is connected with value added tax. Income tax is a direct tax. Corporation tax is also a direct tax. Chargeable gains over that property which you are selling or over your assets. Okay, VAT itself is an indirect tax. When I am going to purchase any product, then I'm going to pay it. If I will not purchase that product, then I will not be paying it. And then obviously everything is connected with your practical life when after that you're taking up that role. So employability and technology skills, the purpose of every of the exam is of every of the ACCA exam is connected with the real life as well. This is actually that simulation. So whatever you would be learning, it will be like this area is not tested separately, but it's a built-in thing. So over there, we would be discussing it. Okay, so let's move forward towards the study guide now. Okay, so these are basically some of the levels that examiner wants from the students. These are all the differentiation areas where a student gets differentiated from 49, 50, 60, 70 markers out there. So first thing is like knowledge and comprehension, level 1. Like every student that stands on level 1 is that one who has studied that syllabus. Okay, he must be having the knowledge, and whenever any question is being asked out of that situation, so he can comprehend it. Then apply your knowledge on the case study. If there is any student who is unable to apply the knowledge on that case study, he is not on level 2, then it means that he will not be able to get those marks that examiner has already assigned on level 2. Analysis, looking at both sides is very important. One-sided story is always a misunderstanding. So analyze the situations by both sides or whatever point of views there they have. Then level 3 is concerned with synthesis and the evaluation. Whatever you have analyzed, now evaluate, recommend what's right, what's right and what's wrong. And in taxation, what we do is we plan. Now let me just share some of the tax planning techniques. Okay, number one thing, let me give you a situation. And first of all, let me introduce you towards two terminologies. The one thing we call it as tax evasion, and another thing is called as tax saving. Tax evasion is like with any of the illegal means, I'm trying to avoid my tax. So for that, I will be penalized if caught. Okay. And tax saving is like, I'm not doing any illegal means. I'm just using like my smart minds, my legal ways to save my tax. Those are my techniques. So that is allowed. And for that, you can like, at the end, it's going to result in the tax saved. This tax saved thing is actually called marginal working. In this marginal working, if you would have seen the exam pattern, there is a separate 10 marker. In section C of your exam, the first CRQ that comes up. Okay, so in this 10 marker, what does the examiner basically asks? It asks the students to do marginal working most of the times. So in marginal working, you are going to tell that how much tax savings is there. This is one of the favorite questions in tax and advanced taxation. So how you will be able to tell that how a tax, like what's the absolute amount that gets saved? You're going to tell that thing if you would know the tax planning techniques, and this you can use it in your real life as well. So now let's move forward towards some other cases. For example, I'm just going to wait, let me tell. There are some exemptions always available. Okay. Let's say there are always some reliefs that are also available. Okay. And there are certain loopholes as well in every system, okay, that protects or gives a benefit of doubt to a person out there. So if, and there are, okay, you must have heard about, or there's one exemption, let's say inter-spouse exemption. Like when you are giving something to your spouse, so it's being exempted from tax. You're not going to pay the tax. So in my tax planning technique, can I use this like technique to save my tax? Yes, you can use it. Okay, you can transfer the amount of your wealth, or let's say the certain bands where you have, so you can claim this exemption, like you can basically save your tax. Next, let's say you have made any loss. Okay, let's say you started a business and you have made loss in the first year. Now we pay tax out of profits, but there is loss in the first year. So now what will HMRC do? Of course, the company or the individual cannot pay the tax. Like you are having a 5,000 loss. How will you be paying? How you will be paying the tax? You cannot pay it. Like you are not having enough profits. I want some figure over here, then I can subtract it. So now what will be the like gift or something from the tax department side from HMRC? This is going to be that is going to provide you a loss relief. Like, okay, let's say in the first year you are having the loss. Okay, it will give you a relief. Relief means you don't have to pay the tax. Okay. And then there are certain loopholes in the system. For example, no rules have been made till yet about anything. Like some rare situations only occurs with some special people or some rare things out there. So when there are no rules, then as well you can save your tax. Okay, so in your syllabus you will be studying about the exemptions and about the rules. So your mindset should be like that. There are some additions and there are some subtractions as well. Okay, in this tax itself is a liability, so your out of your income you have to pay it, so your disposable income decreases the most. So over there your approach is going to be like that. Now marginal working is concerned with, examiner will give you a situation where according to that situation you would have to calculate your current tax, then you would have to apply your techniques, and of course you would obviously have a new amount when you will apply the tax planning technique. So let's say your current tax becomes like 10,000, whatever situation examiner has given you. And when you're applying your techniques, now it becomes 8,000. Your direct, now your answer, how much tax gets saved, it will be 2,000. There are two approaches to solve such questions, and in my next session I would be solving a question as well like that, where it would be more clear. So this video is going to be connected with the next video as well. So first current, then new one, and then subtracting it. Okay, this is timely, but if you will know how to do it directly, your answer would land up over here. Examiner wants this final answer, and that 10 marker or whatever marks he has reserved in the exam is of this final answer out there. Of course, workings are also important, but a smarter technique is to go for marginal working out there. It's very important to read the study guide, first of all, the syllabus, solve every of the exam, and then like you can go towards the examiner reports and some other stuff as well. ACCA is very rich in its resources. Okay, introducing you towards the UK tax system. How is it, how it started and how it is administered. There is one body named as HMRC. When Queen used to be alive, it was Her Majesty Revenue and Customs. Now Prince Charles is there, so it's His Majesty Revenue and Customs. So over here, what is the duty of HMRC? It is to collect the tax. With exam perspective, this area is tested with 2 till 8% marks. That's all. It's not more than that. So most of the MCQs you can expect from here. So it's overall function, and how it is contributing towards the economy is that it basically collects the tax from where? From the individuals, from the companies. There are two types of taxes, and you can see that examiner wants you to know the difference of these two taxes, and it can be examined in an MCQ. Okay. So direct tax. Now, for example, I am an employed person and my salary is 1 lakh. Okay. Now there are certain of my benefits that I have availed, let's say 20,000. Now my total income is 120,000, out of which I have to pay tax. Okay. Always remember this thing that there are bands in this subject, and the bands will also be given to you in your exam. So no need to learn anything, learn how to apply it. So let's say I just right now I'm giving a very rough figure, 37,700. Let's suppose it's 20%. Okay. Afterwards, 37,700 till 150,000, it's 40%. And if I'm earning more than 150, that is 45%. It's just a rough figure, which I'm using over here to make you understand. Now, what will happen? I'm going to tell you the mistake and how to correct it, the both things. Now, let's say a student, I'm going to ask you that calculate the tax over here. What is going to be the tax here? I'm teaching two things together. 120,000, if a student will do this thing, 120,000 multiply by, it says, okay, it's falling in this criteria. Let's make it 40%. Now, what will be the answer? There, an answer would come up. This is the wrong approach. Tax administration or tax calculation does not work like this. Now, what is the correct way to do it? The correct way to do is that go step by step. Okay. Step by step is like, okay, 0 till 37,700 makes 20%. First, calculate this. Next, now what is remaining? I'm going to subtract 150,000 minus 37,700. I will have a figure. Then I will multiply that with 40%. So if let me open Excel and let me do this calculation in front of you. So you also can get your answers and see the difference. Wrong approach. And here I will have the right approach. Okay, I said that let's make it very simple. That my, okay, not salary, let's say your total employment income is, how much was that? 120,000. Now I'm going to calculate my tax. Wrong approach is according to the tax bands. Let me place down the bands over here. I said that from 0 till 37,700, it is 20%. Okay. Then I said the bands 37,700 till 150,000, it is 40%. And with more than 150,000, this is 0.45, like 45%. Okay. Now, the student who would see that, okay, 120,000 income, these are the income bands, okay, income tax rate bands. So it's 150,000. So what will happen? 120,000 multiply by, just look at this. Your answer comes up 48,000, and there you subtracted it, and you are going to tell that, okay, my net income is call it taxable income. It's 72,000. Now what I'm teaching over here to you is the right approach, that it works step by step. So how it will be, first thing would be like, okay, 37,700 multiply by first this, and then the next step is, okay, whatsoever has been remaining, like 150,000, my 37,700, first 37,700 has been taxed. Now I'm remaining with this much amount. So now I'll go this with the 40%. My entire 120 does not come up over here. 120 is being divided. So now when you will add 1123 and 37,700, so how much it's going to equal? So these bands get fill up like that. Okay. So basically over here, I'm gonna take the income that was there. Yeah, now it's correct. Okay, your total income was 120,000, right? Out of which 37,700 was already taxed. Now how much remaining? I've simply subtracted it. So 82,300 is remaining. So 82,300 has gone in the 40% part, and this 37,700 was taxed in the first part, that was 20% out there. So now what will I do? 120 minus this minus this. Can you see the difference over here? From my wrong approach, I have got 72,000 answer, and from my right approach, I have got this answer. So if you will apply this technique, obviously this is not acceptable by HMRC, either HMRC or the examiner out there. So it works step by step. Just like that, you can change your figures and you can practice it all over. And what happens if my income is like that? What happens if my income is 150? If it's more than 150, how is it going to work like that? Okay. There are some other concepts as well, like personal allowance is there. Some other subtractions are there, but you will do it like when you will learn it on the gradual basis out there. So this text that I have subtracted from here, let's suppose whether it was 48 or whatever it was, you can total it out there. It's 40,460. So whatsoever that has been like the lesser tax, okay, from here. So this is actually the direct tax, because when an employee is going to get the salary, it does not get the gross, it always gets the net, which is called as disposable income. Always remember this thing if you have done any job, or like in future when you will be doing it. So when your gross income is, let's say, 80,000, okay, but you are never gonna get 80,000 into your pocket. Your take home income would be less than 80,000, and your employer is responsible for deducting that tax on your behalf. Okay, it's the responsibility of employer in every country out there. Of course, you're going to file your tax return on the voluntary basis by yourself, but that direct tax is with your employer. Okay, so this calculation is done by your employer out there. So this direct tax. Okay, now there is a company, let's say company pays corporation tax. You will have your profits, let's suppose 1 lakh, out of which you will be paying, let's say, 19%, whatever is the rate of corporation tax, this would be deducted, and the company is going to have the remaining profits out there. So direct tax works like that. Next, if I talk about the indirect tax, so this is concerned with the consumption. Let's suppose I'm going to buy a soap. Okay, the price of the soap is, let's suppose, $50, and there is a condition that is maintained with it, that there is a 2% VAT on it. Okay, then what will happen? Actually, price would be this. Let also do it over here to get quicker answers. 51. So when I will purchase, when I will be purchasing this commodity, this product, I will not pay 50 only, neither I'll pay this 2% of the amount, this 1 rupee. No, I'm going to pay this 51. So till I purchase or till I don't purchase it, then. So indirect tax is concerned with the consumption. Okay, so till it's consumed by the consumer or it's not purchased by the customer, that can't be levied. Okay, these are the dynamics of both the taxes that works like that. So we have covered this part, the difference out there. Then there are types of taxes out there, like capital tax and the revenue tax. Okay, see, if there are some of the people or there are some classes in an economy that do not pay the tax, so the purpose doesn't get fulfilled. Everyone, see, in every economy, it's never ever possible that every individual will be learn having the same income. Like it's never possible. All professions are paid differently. Everyone's consumption is different. Everybody's choices is different. The poor, the rich, this difference is always there in every economy. Okay, the purpose of the system of taxation basically is there to minimize this gap, although it's never ever possible. But the maximum we can bring it together, we can try to, like, minimize the thing. So rich people, they are like taxed uh, according to their their system out there, and basically government actually is responsible to allocate this tax. Of course, it's a source of revenue for them, so they allocate the amount that they have collected, and what do they do with it? For example, roads need to be built. Now, one individual is not going to do this because it's not his responsibility, right? So that's why we say that roads, to build the roads, is always the task of a government. Why is it so? Why do we say this? We say this because it's a huge investment is required for it. Altogether, it's required for it. Altogether, funds is required for it. That's why they do it out there. Then there are some of the terminologies that we need to go along with it. And of course, it would be tested out there like that. Serving the public is the major thing, and that is the work of the government. That's why it's done like that, because every individual cannot spend their wealth for this purpose. That's why the entire systems work like that. So we have direct, indirect taxation system. We do have three more things to discuss. What happens in progressive taxation is that as soon as my income is going to increase, let's suppose 2021 and 2022, here my income was 1 lakh, but now here my income has moved to 150. Here I used to pay 10%. So my tax used to be, but let's do this thing on Excel as well. In 2022, my income used to be 1 lakh. But in 2023, my income is 150,000. So what is good? What used to happen was here I used to pay 10%, but in progressive taxation, now my percentage will also increase. So previously, I used to pay tax at this much percentage. So what has happened, actually, my tax has also progressed. That's why it's called progressive taxation. That year, I used to pay 10,000 only, but as soon as my income increased, I have to pay more tax. So I will be paying more tax in the next year. Proportional is like it was 10% over here. Again, the rate is the same. Just the thing is that I'm paying my portion of the tax. So I'm paying it more, but just with that part that has increased, not all over my income. And what is regressive taxation? It's the opposite of progressive. Okay. As soon as my income is increasing, I'm paying lesser taxes. So this is how it works like that. So every country, every economy has its own system out there. So they have made it accordingly. So like that, that's how they try to cater the difference between the rich and poor in every of the economy out there. So Section A is basically more or less concerned about with the compliance things. Okay, about the types of the taxes out there. Like if you just and the most examiner is concerned is with the time limits, that basically you have to tell the dates, the exact time limits, that till when you are supposed to pay the tax, the self-assessment system, no explanations is required in it, just you should have the knowledge and you should know about the due dates. You only have to recognize it, that okay, if it asks you, for example, for 2 or 4 marks, then what are the due dates for paying the income tax or for paying CGT. So you should know that, okay, this is the date, this is from the 6 months, from the 9 months, then you can pay it out there. So it's the least examined part, but of course, everything is important. So you're not supposed to lose out anything out there. I do have the handouts for every of the topics that are given to the students out there after the topic gets completed, along with the kit questions that will be solved in there. So we would be doing this thing in the next of the lectures out there. If there are any questions, anyone can ask me. Otherwise, we are done like for today. Thank you very much for being there. See you in the next video.